everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. For today, guys, we got to talk about the future of the Toronto Blue Jays and how this upcoming stretch could potentially make or break the Blue Jays season. Are they going to be competitors, or are we going to be trade deadline sellers in a couple months, guys? I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog, and it does feel like this upcoming stretch of baseball is one of the utmost importance, right? And it's not just for this season, it's potentially for seasons to come.
Correct.
We got news today that Ross Atkins even is going to be speaking to the media tomorrow. That's the first time that he's going to do that since the opener, right? So, like, it has been a period of time, and, like, again, we don't know what he's going to say, but I imagine that it is probably going to be in response to how poorly this team has performed until this point.
You gotta hope so, right? Like, and we'll dive into it a little bit later more, but you gotta hope, because however he words his words, we're gonna make content about it.
Well, yeah,
everyone's gonna be talking about it on the internet. Everyone's gonna blow it up, and people are gonna want the honest truth. And I think that's the difference in Toronto sport media. We have a really harsh media here in Toronto. There's no doubt about it. But we want honesty. When they give us like BS and like flubby and like fluffy stuff, we get angry. We just want the truth. And that's what I want to see from Ross Atkins. Will it happen? That's another question.
Yeah, exactly, right? And we're going to address that a bit more. But the honest truth right now, and the truth that the media is starting to recognize and start to create their own content on, is that come trade deadline, the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be sellers. And that just is the way that things are right now, everybody. I mean, if you go over to this MLB article, this is by MLB, by the way, guys.
Mark Feinstein.
Mark Feinstein, right? So this is not even a Blue Jays related thing, but the MLB is now looking at the Toronto Blue Jays and looking at their guys and thinking to themselves, holy, even though not everybody is doing well right now, there are certainly some players that, yes, 100%, they belong on a playoff team, right? Just to name a few, Justin Turner and Kikuchi and, several, the list goes on.
Even you've got Kevin Kiermaier. Yeah, he's, not so great with the bat. Actually kind of hot with the bat. He's been sick a lot. Last 15 days, he actually has an OPS of 1,000. Kind of shocked to hear that. But great defensive guy that any team would want in a World Series run to bring in late in innings. That's a guy you want on your team. And then you also got Mark here talking about, well, if it is so bad, does Ross Atkins do something unexpected and start to field offers for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? As we know, he's got the rest of this season, and then he's got next season, then he's an unrestricted free agent. So when does the rebuild begin for the Toronto Blue Jays? Will it begin at this trade deadline? That could be a possibility, and we're not going to hear the end of it, guys. That conversation will continue to pop up. I don't see it happening, even if they are bad. I just think that Ross Atkins is too prideful. He won't let go of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and basically say, well, what I did here didn't work, guys. I'm going to trade it all away. I think a new GM would have to make that call. So unless there's a new GM, I think Vladdy stays in Toronto.
Probably, right? But we're going to have to hear what he has to say tomorrow. I just remembered I read an article earlier this morning. They were talking about Kevin Gausman and the possibility, and Ken Rosenthal, this was a whole thing, right? And this sucks that this even is a conversation talking point, but this was a whole thing. Ken Rosenthal was asked about, well, if the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be sellers, which at this moment it looks like they are going to be, right? Unless things change dramatically, which we are going to get into, they are going to have to sell. That's just the reality of the situation. Yeah. The conversation moved on to, well, do they go so drastically that they sell Kevin Gausman? And he did say, don't count on it. Probably not, no. But the option is there. The opportunity is on the table. He left that door open because at this point, when you are spending this much money and you are getting the results that the Toronto Blue Jays are getting, it does feel like every option is on the table, right? It almost feels like, to a lesser extent, we're kind of like last year's New York Mets, where, they go out, they buy everybody, things are looking good, everyone's hype on them. And they get into the season, it's just not working. And then come trade deadline, well, now we got to start shipping guys off. We got to start, trying to retool and rebuild and plan so that we aren't going to be this shit, next year or for years to come. So
yeah, I really do. I want to bring it back. All depending on how they manage the general manager position is how the team is going to be managed overall. Because I'm thinking, if it is Ross Atkins, Kevin Gausman ain't going nowhere. All the guys he brought in ain't going nowhere. Bo's not going anywhere. No one's going anywhere. But if they do bring in someone like a James Click already in the organization, like if they have him stashed away, ready to go in case they fire Ross Atkins, and then James Click comes in, from the Houston Astros that knows how to retool and create a winning dynasty. Does he step in and sees, okay, I'm not really attached to Ross Atkins' decisions. Let me come in and do what I would do in order to get this winning window back up and running as soon as possible.
Well, I like that you brought up James Click. Funnily enough, everybody, little insider info for Jays today here. We were actually just yesterday out drinking, getting a couple beers with Scott from the Walk Off Podcast.
Shout out.
Right there, and shout out to the Walk Off Podcast. But we were obviously off camera having a dialogue about this issue, and he brought up something that we had been flirting with and talking about a little bit, but I never really thought of it as being a possibility. And he was effectively talking about how, is there a reality where, yes, John Schneider, absolutely, but Ross Atkins doesn't even make it to the trade deadline, right? Like Ross Atkins goes before this year's trade deadline. So if you are going to do that rebuild, you are going to do that retool, well, you get the guy in who has the vision for this trade deadline so they can start that window, half a season, a whole trade deadline earlier. What are your thoughts on Ross Atkins, making it the trade deadline, not making it the trade deadline? Do you think there's any reality where this guy could actually get cut before then?
Potentially. I mean, we thought he was going to get cut last offseason, and he didn't, right? And clearly we kept with our game plan of defense first, and clearly it's gotten even worse than last year. So clearly it's not working. If I am Rogers Communication or I am Mark Shapiro, I'm thinking, well, they're buddies. They've been buddies since back in Cleveland. It would be a tough fire. But if you want to try and save the investment that you just put into the Rogers Center, like, you need to fill up those seats. You need a winning team. What do you do mid-season to bring back the fans? You got to do something drastic. And it's a possibility. Do I think it's going to happen mid-season? More likely than not, because GMs typically don't get fired in the middle of the season. But because of James Click, I think it is a little bit more likely, because you would have a guy who knows the organization, who is familiar with being a general manager, that would just step in right away.
Well, here's the thing, and I hear what you're saying about, okay, well, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, they're buddies. Obviously, like, they want to be working together. They have a good working relationship. And if Mark is the guy that is, a making or a large part of that decision process to get rid of Ross Atkins, that would be tough for him, right? He wouldn't want to do that. But there also comes a point where Mark Shapiro, he's got to start thinking about his own job, right?
Exactly.
And the conversation starts to be, well, Ross Atkins is terrible. Well, whose responsibility is it to, get a good GM for us? Whose responsibility is it to replace Ross Atkins? Well, it's you. And if you're not doing that, then you got to go as well, right? So for Mark Shapiro's sake, he's got to kind of like tread water right now and decide, well, is it better for him to hold on to Ross Atkins and still trust this process, his buddy, his pal, his guy that he's been in the fucking thick of it with for a while, or alternatively, do what Scott was suggesting, actually, and potentially bring in James Click.
Well, let's talk about that. I want to hear what you would think would be the best decision. If we do go down this continuous losing stretch, and we are clearly not contending for the playoffs this year, and it's getting into late June, early July, and oh shit, okay, maybe we got to start selling. What would you do if you were Mark Shapiro? Would you fire Ross Atkins and then try and do some sort of drastic rebuild, or would it be a smart kind of retool? I'm curious.
I would. It's difficult, because if you're gonna do that, you want to have the guy that you're ready to invest in for a couple years.
That's right.
Like ready and waiting with his game plan. Like he's got a whole agenda essay written out about, like, this is the first move I'm going to make. This is the second move. This is how we're going to structure this team. X, Y, Z. This is my 3-year plan, basically.
Right.
Because what you wouldn't want to have happen is, okay, you get rid of Ross Atkins, then you do bring in James Click or whoever it is. He's kind of the interim guy. He makes a couple moves, but then the offseason comes around, you bring in another guy. Right. And then it's like you have a couple, just too many cooks in the kitchen there, not a clear
There's no direction. Yes,
exactly, right? So it's like, if you were going to do that, then I'd want you to have your guy ready to go. This is the dude who we're going to run with now, who's going to run this organization, who's going to run this ship for the next 2 to 3 years, and hopefully bring us out of this, whatever this is.
Right. And look, like, our pitching window, like I see the team in two halves. There's a pitching window, and then there's a starting pitching window, there's a bullpen window, and there's an offensive window. The offensive window is closing fast, right? Because it goes off.
It might already be done.
It might already be done. Because you got basically a year and a half with this core, and then same with the bullpen. You got a year and a half with the bullpen. You've got Jimmy leaving. You've got Romano, Swanson, Mays, all these guys leaving after 2025. But the starting pitching, you still got Gausman. You're still going to have Barrios. You got an option, I think, after that. But it's a little bit longer. So for me, I want a guy to come in. If you are going to bring in James Click, I want a guy who can see, okay, let me extend this window. Remember that conversation, guys? Remember that conversation in the offseason? Oh, we're going to extend the window. We're going to extend the window. We didn't do any of that shit.
Right.
We literally didn't do any of that in the offseason. I want a guy to give me that extending window, whether it be a retool, because we have a lot of money in this team. We have a lot of guys who are supposed to be good, who have talent. Let's bring in some new faces. GM, bring in some new faces on the roster, and let's try to keep the window going until we can click as a team.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, dude. Speaking about the pitching, Lisa W right here, Lisa's husband Andy here saying,
Sup, Andy?
Yeah, sup, Andy. Why would you trade any of the pitchers? They are doing well. Vladdy is too comfortable at Toronto, may bring in a favorable trade. To your Vladdy comment, I mean, again, those conversations are going to be on the table. I am hopeful with the way that he's been swinging the bat, with the stuff that he's been doing, the approach at the dish, everything for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over the last 30 days or so has been really good. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning to a, resurgence in the season. The season-long numbers are starting to look really nice. And again, it's not just coming out of nowhere. He did make an actual change. Yeah. So Guerrero, there will be trade rumors. If there's going to be a sell thing, we'll see where that goes. As far as the pitchers go, the reason that you trade the pitchers, in my opinion, maybe you can speak to this too if you have anything else to add to it, but that's like where your only value is. And if you're not going to be using them, if you're not going to be utilizing their talent in the playoffs, I would rather take somebody like Yusei Kikuchi and sell him off to a team that does need pitching right now and get one of their top 10 prospects in return. And maybe that guy could help us next year or a year prior.
For me, it's Kikuchi is the pitcher. Like, I'm not touching Gausman or Bassett or Barrios, any of those guys at all. It'd be Kikuchi just because of the contract. And like I said, going back to my whole extend the window, like trading away Gausman and Barrios or anybody else would shorten the window. And if you are trying to compete again and get a bit of a retool with the GM and all these players and shuffle it around, you want to have those guys. Those guys are winning players. I'm not ready. Maybe I'm in denial. I'm not ready to go into a 2 to 3 year rebuild or even longer than that. This team has been way too hyped up and way too good and way too money invested to just like give up after 2 months. We have to keep it going a little bit. We have a little bit guys more on contract, so keep them. But make a smart retool if you are going to. You've talked about this in a video, trading away Kikuchi, bringing in someone offensively or some sort of prospect offensively, a little bit more length to help you extend that window.
Well, okay, let me ask you this then. When, for you, at what point do you hop off that hopeful train that it is time to do a full rebuild?
When there kind of we're running out of light at the end of the tunnel, because I still, like I said, I see we still have starting pitchers here for like 3 years, right? Like we still got a good starting pitcher window. And we have guys that are coming up, like young Schneider here. You have guys who are, that's basically it, who could be coming up and giving you a little bit more hope until there's literally feeling like it's dead in the water, which we have to probably see at the end of this season. Like if we get into all depends on the moves too. Like there's so many variables that would answer that question. I can't answer it right now. But if we go to the end of the season and we're looking at the last year and it's dead in the water, everything's bad, we have to probably get to the end of the Vladdy and Bo era for me to be like, okay, now let's rebuild.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I think that there's also another standpoint too that, well, maybe it's too late at that point because then you lose all that value in Vladdy and Bo and they're just going to walk to free agency. And then you are entering into what could be, rather than a 2 or 3 year rebuild, maybe this is going to be longer than that,
Right.
Alternatively, if you take that value, you move it to another team and you get some prospects in return, that's another way to kickstart that. I am, not suggesting that it's time to fully rebuild or anything like that. But I do think that there could be some strong arguments made right now about the fact that this core How do we think that they're ever going to win a World Series here? Mm-hmm. Do we see them as a World Series caliber squad? Because so far, in the time that they've been here, they've had incredible individual seasons, but they've never won a playoff game. And typically in clutch moments, they always come up short. And that has just been getting worse and worse and worse, as we can see with the runners in scoring position. So, I'm all about, I want us to be a competitive team, and I always want to be in that mix. I'm wondering, what is going to turn you into that World Series caliber squad, and can you do it with the current core that you have right now? Is this enough, and what do you need to bring in return? It's a tough. It's a
very tough question. I mean, we've tossed out the word so far here: rebuild, retool. Retool I see is the in between of a still staying competitive, but also reshuffling the roster and not completely stripping it down. I feel like retool is the way to go. Like, rebuild is, you have aging guys, you have, guys at the end of their contracts, and then there's no future coming up, and there's really it's empty down there in the farm system. Yeah, we do have a weak farm system and a weak prospect system, but we still have a lot of guys, again, on contract that are good, like the pitching side of things. And yeah, the offense is the problem for sure. And I do think that, with this core of Vladdy and Bo and this offensive team right now, they can't win a World Series.
No,
and I agree with you. But the pitching is so good that you have to keep that there, do a little bit of retooling, and try to get life back into that offensive side of things in the Blue Jays organization.
Well, a lot of questions are going to be answered, I think, in the next coming weeks, everybody. The next, 2.5 weeks of baseball, this is crucial. It is absolutely imperative that the Toronto Blue Jays win in these next several series. Pull up the schedule right now, guys. We're starting with Tampa Bay Rays tonight, 3-game series. We're going to be live for that game, by the way, everybody. So if you're looking to watch that game, come watch it with us on Blue Jays Today, guys, because it is an Apple TV game. So should be a good stream right there.
Yeah, it'll be a great stream.
But you got Tampa Bay, you got Chicago White Sox, you got Detroit, then you got the White Sox again, and then after that, you got the Pirates.
For 3 games,
That's a 5-series stretch right there against what I would consider to be, average to below average squads for the most part. And if you don't go through that stretch of time, without winning 65 to 70% of your ball games, you're in deep shit. And at that point, I do believe it is full sell time.
Well, let's paint the picture, guys. You have to win every single one of these series, all right? Let's say there's no sweeps, because we haven't been swept and we haven't swept anybody. So we're going with the Toronto Blue Jays way of mid. If we were to win 5 series here in the next stretch, that would be 11-5 record. That would bring the Blue Jays back up to a 30-28 record. And what does that do?
Doesn't even put you in a playoff spot.
It doesn't put you in a playoff spot according to where we are right now. The Twins are the lowest wild card team, and they're 24-19. That's 5 games above 500. Yes, things are going to change for sure, but just looking at this early schedule or earliest standings, we'd only be 2 games above 500. So if the Jays want to get out of all these deep, dark conversations of being sellers at the deadline, you have to win the next 5 series. If you do not, and you go into June, which is going to be so hard.
Yeah, this is a tough stretch.
So hard.
Tough stretch in here. You got the Athletics, who are very beatable, but
everybody
4 games against Baltimore, Milwaukee's tough, Cleveland's tough, Boston is better than we are in every aspect right now, and then you got the Yankees. So June is going to be the month from hell.
Yeah.
And what we're suggesting right now here to be 30-28, that's just to get you out of the we're going to sell everything conversation. That's literally all that does. That doesn't even mean that you're buying anymore. That just means that we're out of selling mode. But if they go 500 in this stretch, or God forbid they go below 500 in this stretch, 100%, I would completely agree with everyone that says it is time to sell, because in my opinion, that is 100% the right move to make, because if you can't beat those teams,
then you're not a good team.
You're just not a good team, and this season is effectively done.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. And even we're gonna predict the Tampa Bay Rays series coming up, because obviously that's what we do here on Blue Jays Today, but it's so tough to predict even wins. It's tough because it doesn't matter who you have pitching. Does not matter It obviously comes down to the offense, and they're just not clicking. You have Vladdy who's clicking.
Yeah.
He's doing great. Bo's turning it on a little bit, but he also has great numbers at Camden Yards. You need like a switch turning on.
Well,
I don't know how the hell that happens.
That's why I think everybody is me personally, like I'm down on this squad right now because it's not just one thing, right? We were talking with Scott yesterday, actually. When
we're going to reference Scott quite a bit. It was a great conversation.
We were talking with Scott, and I brought up the idea of like, well, the bullpen is one of the worst in baseball right now. And we all sat there and we all agreed. It's like, okay, well, we believe that the bullpen is going to turn it around. We believe in the guys there. And I'm sticking with that. But how can we say for sure that in the time period that the bullpen figures itself out, that another problem in the starting pitching doesn't arise?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like we can be positive and be like, well, this is definitely going to turn around. But at the exact same period of time, we could also have Kevin Gausman get hurt, or, Yusei Kikuchi start sucking, or, whatever it is, an unforeseen problem.
A great example right here with the offense. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Oh, we need Bo and Vlad to come back. Well, last 15 days, everybody. Yeah, you have Vlad back. Awesome. Yeah. Well, guess what? Varsho drops off the face of the earth. Turner drops off the face of the earth. Yeah, you got Schneider doing great. You got Danny doing great. Biggio, gone. Kirk's still bad.
That's the thing,
problem.
It's like when we're talking about this positive regression, I agree. It's going to happen with the bullpen eventually. There's too many talented guys in there for it not to happen. But at the same time, well, what's the other shoe going to be? Because it's not like nothing is going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. Also, can you bring up the stats again and can we talk for 1 second on what the actual fuck is going on with George Springer? Like, what in the actual fuck is happening?
This is the topic of the year for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think we are. I'm smashing it. I'm smashing it right now. George Springer decline is real.
Oh,
he's done, man. We talked about it last year early on in April, and it was still early, and he had a season last year. It's almost June. We're halfway through May. This guy, let's look at the whole season, right? That's just the last 15 days.
It's definitely, it's not very good, man. That you
572 OPS.
That's the thing.
That's just not good.
You can't have your leadoff hitter get on base 27% of the time and bat 201. That's just not good enough. I mean, again, talking with Scott last night, the comparison I used is this is Juan Carlos Stanton. This is literally Juan Carlos Stanton without the home runs, and that's what it feels like. That's not what you want leading off on your team.
And I said it to you right before this Blue Jays Today show. I swear to God, if George Springer is batting leadoff tonight.
Wow, he's going to be, though. He is.
And we talked to also Scott about this yesterday, and he brought up a great point. John Schneider is married to the veterans. He just gives them way too much rope. When the hell is the rope going to run out? When's the leash going to be off these guys? He can't be protected in the leadoff spot anymore.
No.
I don't know how you wake up every morning, go to the ballpark, and write this dude's name in the number one spot in the lineup. Where in your mind does that make any sense? And when have you ever thought to move him down? Probably, but why aren't you? Because you're protecting him? Dude makes $25 million a year. He's protected enough. Put him down in the lineup.
If you forget about the name, if you literally forget about the name, what he's done on the page this year is a AAA player. Legitimately.
Dude, he's a player I'm thinking about optioning. It's not working out option.
Yeah, and clearly you can't do that because he does get paid $25 million, and this is the deal that you made back in the day. We were all hype about it when it happened, and hindsight is 20/20. It's not going necessarily the way that we all would have hoped right now, but you got to do something because just keeping him there in the leadoff spot, it is not working. It is not helping the team. It's probably not helping him at this point.
No,
they're going to pitch him the same fucking way if you put him down there in 7, 8, or 9 or whatever it is, but just take a little pressure off the guy, maybe sit him for a day or two, do whatever you have to do because 201 batting average,
well,
not good enough.
What happened to Bo Bichette when you moved him down?
Literally, he started getting better immediately.
And we talked to Scott about this. We're going to mention it here. When you move someone down the lineup, and John Schneider said this, they're not going to change the way they pitch them. Okay, cool.
That's fine.
But you're comfortable in the same repetition every day when you know I'm batting leadoff. I got the same pressure. I got to turn it on. Well, now you got to move down to 9 spot. Someone mentioned here. Yeah, great. Move to the effing 9 spot. Make him our second leadoff hitter. I don't care.
Yeah, seriously.
Shout out to Bob Mowat for subscribing. You're a legend, my guy. Then something clicks in your brain. Okay, with Davis is up there. They're doing well. I can relax a little bit. Who cares if I don't produce right here? Because I'm not. Who cares if I don't? I'm not expected to. That's so much pressure off your shoulders. Then something clicks. It clicked a little bit for Bo. I hope it continues. It's clicking. I hope it clicks for Springer if he moves him down ever.
I hope so, man. I imagine that Ross Atkins is going to have some questions to answer in regards to that tomorrow, everybody. If he's even going to field any questions. All we've heard, folks, and this is from Hazel May earlier today, is that Ross Atkins is going to be made available to the media. That's tomorrow. He's going to be speaking, going to have a little press conference. I imagine that he'll take some questions. That would be great. I hope that people give him the tough ones. It is going to be a tough crowd for Ross Atkins, I think. But the thing is, don't get your hopes up. If you're expecting him to come out here and say, you know what, guys, I really shat the bed. I'm resigning. John Schneider's gone. And, like we're making all the necessary changes here. Things will be better. That's not going to happen. I would anticipate, actually, that this is going to be trying to put some water on the fire from him. He is clearly feeling the heat, as is John Schneider, as is the Toronto Blue Jays as a whole. I think that this is going to be a little last-ditch effort here to be like, it's all okay, everyone.
100%.
We will be fine,
100%.
folks. Like, that's what I'm
100%.
kind of going to be anticipating from Ross Atkins.
I already got a couple quotes in my mind I think he's going to say. I think he will acknowledge how poorly they're playing. He said, he'll probably say some variation of, this isn't exactly what we were expecting. We know we have a great group of guys here. They're going through it, but, I believe in these guys. They're talented. You look at the track record.
I believe in the team we have right here.
All that stuff. You're going to see a lot. It's going to be that, man. And then you're going to get the questions being like, okay, well, are you what happens if I want someone to ask about the trade deadline. Well, what are you going to do with the team if they're still underperforming? Well, he probably will dodge it. He's going to dodge it. He doesn't want to say anything. Well, we got to cross that bridge when we get there. And, I really hope he does say anything's on the table.
Oh,
I really hope.
I was just going to say, man, I would actually gain a lot of respect for Ross Atkins if he kicked everyone's ass a little bit.
Oh, my God,
And when somebody does bring up the trade deadline, because clearly that's going to be what it is. Happen. I would love it if he came out and said, at this point right now, it's hard to say that we're anything but sellers. And anyone's name is available. I hope that that's not the case.
Kick everyone's ass.
Literally, you can say something just like that, and everyone's going to agree with you, because at the end of the day, the truth is, at this point right now, you are sellers.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to, right? But these guys have got to know that their, cushy home in Toronto, it might not be their cushy home in Toronto anymore if they don't pick up their socks.
I remember I made a video a week or two ago about Ross Atkins specifically and how he's got to save his job.
Right.
If you sit back and play it safe the way he's been playing it, dude, you're getting fired. You are going to get fired. It's no doubt about it. You will get fired. Make some risks, dude. Yeah. You got to save your job. If you know it's coming, why not shoot some shots, be honest, make some trades, do something drastic in order to save this team.
Shout out to Jordan Keats very quickly with a $5 dono. That guy is a legend.
Yes.
Thank you. He says lead off for Babe, Varsho batting second, Vladdy 3, Jansen 4, Bo 5, Springer 6, 7, IKF, Turner 8, Kevin Kiermaier 9. I definitely like that lineup a lot more than what they have been doing recently. And then asking who would you trade for to improve the team. That's a really tough question right there, Jordan.
That's the other side of this whole video.
But that's the problem is, right? It's not just one guy.
That's the problem.
You need a bunch of guys, right? You do need some bullpen help. You do, again, Alek Manoah had a great start yesterday or last time he was out. Are we going to get that again? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So you might need some help there. Obviously, the offense, it's just everybody needs help at that point. To boil it down to something simple, I guess your best bet would be a hard-hitting, lots of slug, corner outfielder, third baseman. Something like that. But I don't think, even if you brought in literally the best player at that position, the best available guy at that position. I don't even know who it is right now because I haven't been looking at buying. But
I don't know.
That guy isn't going to automatically make you a playoff team or anything like that, right? Like, you need more.
No, I mean, it's the same problem. And we have the stats right here. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's the runners in scoring position. Like, the team-wide effort of runners in scoring position, we're just garbage, guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
this is garbage. We're 29th. You have a George Springer slash line. When everyone becomes George Springer when there's runners in scoring position.
That's sad.
That's literally what it is, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, actually.
No, it's very close. It's actually very close.
Very close.
The OPS is pretty similar. It is really close.
It is very, I can't find it here. But yeah, it's literally the same. So we have to figure that out. I don't know how the hell you do that. I'm not in the minds of these players at the Dish. You got to figure it out, man.
Well, what's crazy to me, I brought this up a little while ago. Look at this, everybody. Look at this. If you're listening on a podcast format, I'll explain it. We have an OPS of 587 with runners in scoring position. Okay?
Yeah.
587 with runners in scoring position. The 15th ranked team, they're tied for 15th, 744. So we are almost 200 points of OPS off from being average. That's not even like a good, like the good teams.
The medium, yeah.
Exactly. The good teams are up there in the 800s. Like, fuck that. We're never going to get there. But just to be an average ball team like the New York Mets, we are roughly 200 OPS points off of that. That is how god-awful, terrible we have been with runners in scoring position.
Can you imagine if we were average?
That's the thing.
Dude,
if we were average,
we're with the Baltimore Orioles.
We're
that
right
level.
up there, you know? Like, we're going to be in the mix. I don't know if we're in the, winning the division right now, but, like, we're certainly above 500.
I think we're in a wild card spot.
Probably. Yeah.
Think about, take last game, for example, on Wednesday. We had so many runners in scoring position throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
And we only scored 2 runs.
Yeah.
If we would have scored 4 or 5, we win. And no one's blaming Jordan Romano. Also, sidebar, guys, you shouldn't be blaming Jordan Romano.
Yeah.
It's clearly the offense.
I have not been happy at all with the discourse going on about Jordan Romano's got to get moved from the closing position.
It's got to be Jimmy. I hear your argument.
Look, Jimmy is phenomenal.
Yes.
Jimmy is phenomenal. But if it wasn't for Jimmy, we wouldn't have even been in that fucking position to get walked off in the first place because Jimmy came out with the fire extinguisher and got us out of several jams in that game to just even make it to the 9th inning. So
where then the Blue Jays go 3-3 down and nothing, garbage.
So, no. I don't want any more talk about, again, if this continues to happen, then sure, we can talk about it later. Yeah. But Jordan Romano has been so good at baseball for such a long period of time. Keep him where he is. That was not his fault at all. You're going to have a blown save eventually. Everybody does. Offense, you can't win ball games with only 2 runs. It's just not going to happen, especially not against a team with Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. And, the list goes on.
Like, you give up 3 runs in a game, you should win more times than not.
You should win
if you're a good
70%
team.
of the time.
You should win 70%. If you're an average offensive team, I think the average offensive runs scored is 4.2. It's something like that. You win. Mm-hmm. It's not the bullpen's fault. It's not the pitcher's fault. We can start looking at that area. Yes, the bullpen has been great. Yes, I understand. They're one of the worst in baseball. Absolutely. But you got to look at the offense first because this has been the Achilles heel for this Toronto Blue Jays team for the longest time.
Well, since the game of the year, which was on last Saturday, everybody, I was live for that one. That was a phenomenal game. But since the game of the year, we've had 3 games. We've had 3 games because one of them got rained out, right? So 3 games. Collectively, in that game of the year, we scored, 10 runs, I think it was? 10 runs in game of the year.
Is that the most runs ever? I think it's most
for
runs
this
ever
year.
this
I believe so, yeah. So, again, game of the year. But in those following 3 games, we have collectively scored 6. So we scored 10 in one game, and then literally you add up the runs out of the next 3 games, we've scored 6. Yeah. It's not good enough. It's not good. You think that's the thing, right? We were watching that game. I remember watching that game with everybody here, and it was like, oh, wow, they're actually coming up. Is this the spark that we need? Is this the turning point? No. 1 run the next day, 3 the day after that, and then 2 the following day. So it's just not good enough, everybody. Things have got to be different.
And, hey, I mean, I think you even heard it from, I think it was Boba Shett with the quote. I'm kind of paraphrasing right now, but he said, lately the offense has come alive. And I guess you could look at that game. I guess you could look. I like the way they worked the starting pitchers. Like, I mean, they worked. Who was it we faced on Wednesday? I forget. I can't forget the Baltimore Orioles pitcher. We worked him. We worked him. Bradish. We worked him. He didn't go into the fifth, right? Like, we worked him so good. But you're still not capitalizing. Yes, there's like maybe a grain of salt of positivity in there, moving Bo down, getting him sparked up, and Vladdy getting sparked up. But you gotta do it more. Everyone's gotta do it more.
Yeah. Right. Lots of stuff we've got to change, everybody. Let's be a little bit more positive, though, folks. We've gotten on these guys pretty hard so far, as has been the routine of these Blue Jays Today shows this year so far. Wouldn't it be nice if we were positive for a change? Please start winning ball games. But let's announce the Jay of the Week.
Day of the week, everybody, and this is the prior week where we were in Philly, and then we were at a quick homestand in Toronto against the Twins. The guy was Vladimir Guerrero Jr., everybody.
Yeah.
Big congratulations to him.
Yeah. This is kind of just a culmination of everything that he's done. Because, again, Adam was away last week, so we didn't have Jay of the Week this Monday. But either way, the last, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, even 4 weeks of baseball,
even a month.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been really good. It is giving me a little bit of hope because clearly, his season was not going the way that people had hoped for to start things off, and we were very worried, and the at-bats were atrocious. They were atrocious. Yeah. Things have changed for him. He's not hitting for a whole lot of pop, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. Give me something. Give me the 370 average or whatever it is in the last several games.
The last week that we're taking the sample size of, he batted 500. Literally doing everything in his possible power.
Better than that.
So, and we still go 2 and 3.
Literally. So, and that is also part of the worrying thing, right? Because we kept at the beginning of the year. Well, if we just got Guerrero and Bo going, then we're gonna win. Now we're getting them going a little bit. Other guys are falling off, and we're still not winning. It's tough, everybody. It is just tough to watch right now. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr., keep it up, dude. I mean, maybe extension talks, maybe.
Yeah, actually, I saw a shout out to Blue Jays dad in parentheses granddad. He was saying on Twitter today, what would you, or he was finish the sentence, if you saw Vladdy and Bo extensions this season, how you would feel blank. And I put confused.
Yes.
I would, because I'd be like, what is the direction of this team right now? Okay, if we send them, well, okay, this isn't the winning formula. Why would we do that? I'm curious. I mean, just to kind of put a pin on that little comment you made, is there a Vlad extension even if he gets hot? Even if he has a good season?
I genuinely have no idea, man. Because it's you don't know. You just don't know where this team is going, and is that guy going to be the guy that wins you a World Series? I am not sure. I am not sure, folks. Let's take a look at this upcoming series, though, everybody, because as we said, this could finish the Toronto Blue Jays. If they do not win in the next several series, then pack it in, folks. This season's been short-lived. You got Tyler Alexander and Chris Bassett on the bump today, everybody. Again, we are going to be live for tonight's game. Apple TV game, folks. Should be a banger of a game. Hopefully, we can pull out a win against the Tampa Bay Rays. Tyler Alexander has not been that good at baseball. Granted, neither is Chris Bassett over his last 3 starts in the season as a whole. So, kind of even right there on the pitching side of things. I mean, bullpen-wise, their bullpen looks like it is being worked quite a bit. Our bullpen should be
it's really rested, very rested,
because we had several days off, a day off yesterday. So bullpen-wise, that's good. But it always comes down to the same thing, man. It always comes down to the same thing. I'm seeing a 5.45 ERA next to Tyler Alexander's name. I don't know if that matters.
It doesn't.
I actually don't know if that matters with our offensive guys,
dude. I mean, it doesn't matter with our pitching too. We're like I said earlier. Okay, we roll out Barrios today. Are we going to win? I don't know. We have a chance if we score maybe 3 runs. We got a chance. But is that going to happen? I really don't know. We averaged 2 in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
So, it comes down to, can we beat these guys? I mean, Bament, you have a 370. I mean, he's going to be in the lineup. I don't know. Vlad's, it's all small. Bo hasn't hit off. He's over 6. Girk, sure. It's all small. I don't know. Bassett's been struggling, and that's, for me, the big key with the offense struggling and Bassett been struggling. I'm going to say we lose.
I'm going to say that we lose as well, everybody. And before I give the reasons why, let's give a quick shout-out to the sponsor of this video.
Yeah, let me get it.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. They are the place to be if you have any interest in sports betting at all. And frankly, I would bet against this team, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing tonight. The odds are actually in the favor of the Tampa Bay Rays, so you get more money if you bet on them to win. Wow. Really, it just comes down to me, or this for me, is they're an above 500 team. Mm-hmm. We are not. Their offense is better than our offense.
Yep, they're an average offense this year.
That's the thing. They're not even that good. But, and then we're also not even factoring in the other element of Tampa Bay Rays own our ass. Yeah. And they have always owned our ass. So they are going to continue to do so.
Yeah,
tonight.
That feels like good money, man. When you're making bets, guys, you got to bet responsibly, shout out to Betway. Mm-hmm. But you also got to make smart bets. This is smart money. I really do think.
I hate it, dude. I hate it.
Any baseball team can win on any day. And you look at the Toronto Blue Jays and who's going any day.
I don't want to watch that game if I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna be live. I mean, and hey, smart money again. You gotta look at some other lines. I'm going George Springer under 1.5 hits. When was the last time George Springer got 2 hits in a game? I can't recall.
2022.
I can't. Yeah, literally. I don't remember. That's smart money too. 1.71 is the multiplier. Just to compare, I know Justin Turner's been bad lately. I think someone said he's 3 for 36. Like that's really bad. But if you're gonna pick George or Turner to turn it around, who would you pick? I'd probably pick Turner to turn it around. Yeah. And they have the same odds. So again, smart. Got to be making the smart bets.
Yeah. I mean, sucks. We're going to be betting against the lads until proven otherwise, folks. So we're going to take an L tonight. That's what we're betting on. I hope that we're wrong, guys. We'll see you in the chat later for that stream. Game 2 here. Kevin Gausman, Eflin. Oh. Did we beat Eflin? I think we did, right? I think he was literally opening day starter for them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
And I think we won that game. So
granted, opening day,
very different teams, opening day compared to now. And Kevin Gausman playing much differently than he was playing at the beginning of the year too. Playing really, really good. It feels to me like this is one that you should win if. I mean, Eflin's good, but Gausman's probably even better than that, even though the season-long stats aren't super great still.
Yeah, Gausman got blown up last game. I don't think that's going to continue. I mean, very rarely was Gausman, other than earlier this season when he was still kind of like finding himself after extended spring training. I say that with quotations because it was still in regular season. I don't feel confident, but I got to say we win something. Yeah. I think this would be a classic Jays game of a 3-2 win. Yeah, that's the 3-2 win right there.
They're so boring.
They're so boring.
I hate this team sometimes, guys. It's like even when we win games, it's just like it's not even that entertaining. That's why the game of the year was so great.
Oh my god,
the game of the year was the best. Everybody, that literally felt like vintage 2021. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, we're all the way back. Yeah, and then the next day we put up one.
Literally. So. Hey, shout out to Matthew Strong with the super chat donation saying last place is fun, more fun than playoffs. Joke. Well, it's funny. We were talking. It's like, you know what? Like, before the stream, if they're gonna suck really, really bad. And then sell the dudes and give us a new team. Give us a new team.
The worst case scenario is when you're right in the middle, right?
That's the worst.
The worst case scenario is when you're just good enough to not sell and not do anything, but then also not good enough to make playoffs. And then you're just in this spot where you end up winning, like, 80 games and are just like there and you have really no direction at all. Like I'd rather us you lose like a ton of games, sell all the pieces, get ready for next year, and then like we're all the way back next year. Or alternatively, I'd rather us clearly win. Like best case scenario is we win a bunch and we get back in the race. What I don't want to have happen is this like middling, like mediocre 500 nonsense that just doesn't spark anything.
We don't sell, we don't add,
we don't do anything.
We float our way into the off season.
Which is playoffs. The sad part is I feel like that is probably like the most realistic outcome. Yeah. Anyways, last game right here. Alek Manoah up against Savale. Manoah, one terrible start, one incredible start.
What are we going to get?
Roll the dice. I have no idea. Savale, I mean, again, this guy's not been great at baseball either, right? Yeah. So this one, I just have no idea, dude. Like, it looks like you should be able to get him. It looks like we've done good against him in the past.
Yeah.
But, Alek Manoah at any given moment in any given inning could just explode for 6 runs,
I know.
I have no idea, man. Like, it literally flip a coin for me.
You know what? Because last game was kind of flip a coin, I'm going to say we lose this one. And even when Manoah did great last game, what the hell happened? We lost. We went 7 innings scoreless.
Yeah.
We lost. So I do.
No, that's true, actually. We literally still lost.
We still
this
lost.
guy, was incredible, and we literally still lost.
Yeah,
man.
it doesn't even matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, again, like I said, this was a flip a coin for me, and I didn't feel good saying we're win. I don't feel good saying we're going to win here. I think we're going to lose.
Wow.
Realistically, we should lose this series. And with that being
20
said,
and 25 after that.
we'd be 20 and 25. With that being said, I mean, we're talking about this could finish the Blue Jays. This would begin to finish the Blue Jays.
This is like the first. Well, we've already got the first nail in the coffin. This is like the second or third nail in the coffin at that point.
If you're just tuning into this live stream right now, we said at the beginning that we needed to win the next 5 series, and we are predicting that we will not start that off. We'll start off with a loss, and if that happens, well, Blue Jays Today's show Monday is all right, guys. Let's start talking about trade rumors. Let's start. Who are we selling? We're 5 games below. Who are we selling? If the team wants to get back, they got to win this series. They got to be 21 and 24. That's not back yet. They got to start to begin that journey back. It's a long journey. You have to find a way, boys. The offense, it's coming down to the offense. You got to find a way.
Yeah, they just got to start swinging the bats a bit better, folks. Let's get to that fun part of the video, everybody, where we spin the wheel.
The spinning fortune, baseball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It is, in fact, a wheel
Let's
that
go.
we spin every single week, everybody. Some of us are spinning it better than others, folks.
Yeah.
12.
I'm getting frigged up,
yeah,
bro.
literally 12.
I'm getting
to
Blue
6.
Jade. I'm getting Blue Jade
You
right now.
are, man. You are. This
Just middling.
Like the scorecard on the golf from the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except actually reverse.
Reverse. Yeah. Anyways, 12 to 6 right now, guys. I took 2 off Adam the last week. Kikuchi actually did not get a whole lot of strikeouts.
No.
Gosman, smaller outing, but struck out a bunch when he got chased from the game. Vladdy, Schneider.
1 homer.
Give me the homer. I mean, that's all it's going to be.
That's all it comes down to.
With this team, that is all everything it's going to be.
And then Vladdy turned it on. He only struck out twice. George Springer, actually, funny enough, he played 3 games. He had the flu. Still struck out 4 times.
Wow. Wow. That's my elite right there, everybody. That's George Springer. He'll give me the big numbers. But it is your week this week.
We gotta turn around.
You gotta have a big
if I sweep, I'm back. It's like the Blue Jays. I gotta have a stretch like the Blue Jays to get back into it, man.
100%.
Let's go.
Let's spin the wheel, see what it's gonna be. First category, everybody.
Yeah, you guys. And also, by the way, this is just for this Tampa Bay Rays series because we missed on Monday. Just for this series. And it's going to be Caper 9.
Caper 9. Seems easy to me, man.
I got to lock in. I'm going back to Gosman. Gosman's pitching? Yeah, Gosman's pitching.
Is pitching, man.
Yep.
Gosman is pitching.
And there's no Kikuchi in this series.
No, that makes my life a lot more difficult, everybody, because, I'm sure. Well, listen, I mean, it's pretty easy, guys. I can't possibly pick Alek Manoah. It's just, I can't do it. So clearly, I have to pick Chris Bassett, and that was the one I wanted the least.
Yeah.
Because I knew that it was now I'm just roped into one.
Yeah.
Bassett can strike some people out. It's possible.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly going to count that category as probably an L for me.
That's a good one for me. I need it, guys. That's my game of the year right there. It needs to happen. Let's see what happens, guys. Yeah, Sophie says Gosman. Let's know, guys, who you would pick as well.
Give me worst.
Oh,
I wanted the worst.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. There's so many good picks for
great picks. Okay,
walks, I have no idea, dude. Again, 3 games, anything can happen, especially with the offense. Who's been taking walks recently?
Yeah, last 15 days, who's walking? I mean, you got Vladdy having some good ABs.
Yeah, Vladdy will probably get some.
It's Schneider and Guerrero. Schneider has been walking a lot.
Interesting. That is quite a lot.
And here's the thing. He's playing more now.
He's playing.
I'll let you take this one.
Who the hell is gonna walk? I'm gonna pick. Jesus.
Yeah, it's toughy.
I'm gonna
pick whoever you don't pick.
Yeah.
Obviously.
No, I know. I don't know. I'm thinking I might want to go Vladdy because he'll get more at bats than Schneider,
Very fair.
But again, maybe this is the series where we decide to put David Schneider at the top, but
Who knows? Yeah.
I'll go Vlad. I'll go Vlad.
I'll
Maybe
go Schneider, and I hope he plays. You know, gotta hope he plays.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. All right, final category, everybody. What is it gonna be? I'm not loving my picks so far this week. Anything can happen. But
Anything at all? Give me
loving
where's
it.
Jay and K
K
batters.
batters.
Oh boy, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
It all depends if he plays too. I hope he. Well, I actually don't hope he does because as a Jays fan,
Yeah.
but we're going George Springer.
Yeah.
That one feels like the obvious
It
choice.
does feel like that. Feels like a lock, man. That feels
Yeah.
like a lock and a half. I'm gonna need you to pull up the stats after that. I feel like Varsho is gonna be up there.
Varsho
I
will
feel
for
like
sure.
he's gonna be
He's
up
been
there.
struggling.
That's kind of where my brain is going immediately. David
Yeah.
Schneider and Dalton Varsho. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, there's a lot of guys up there,
There's
guys.
a lot of strikeouts being had right now by the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm feeling like it's going to be a Dalton Varsho
That's a
thing,
good one.
everybody.
That's
That
a
was
good
kind
one.
of what my gut was saying off the top. So I'm going to go Dalton Varsho right there. And, I mean, again, I hope I'm wrong with this. I hope that this guy can kind of turn it on again, but, has not been swinging the bat very well recently.
No, not at all. Okay, guys, that's our picks. Let us know in the chat what picks you like, who you would pick if you had the choice. Should be competitive. It's gonna be a one-game series, so
Literally.
we'll see how it all turns out.
No kidding, folks. Comment your thoughts down below about everything that we talked about today. Very excited to see what Ross Atkins comes out and says tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be making some content on that the second that it comes. And once again, we will be live tonight for that Apple TV game. And then once again on Sunday, where Alex Manoa takes the ball.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
Go Jays, go!